Hi, my name is Reverend Emily Cook. I'm speaking to you from the unceded territory of Kamloops, Tishoquetmak. And I am a trans woman, as many of you know. This is the first year I have been myself, and I've marked this day, Transgender Day of Remembrance, before. This is a day to remember victims of transphobic violence, those who have died at the hands of others, and those who could not bear the rejection and the hatred and died at their own hands. I've marked this before because I have trans people who are close to me, and I wanted to be by their side. But this year, having finally realized that I am trans, I'm processing my feelings in a bit of a different way and wondering how I'm fitting into all of this. A little while ago, in early October, I was having a very rough day. I had visited someone at the hospital at the end of the day, and when I was done, I just needed to relax for a moment. So I did something that I had done all the time when I was presenting as a man. I left my car parked at the hospital. I walked 3 blocks to a pub I liked. I did think about my safety, in fact. While it was getting a bit towards sundown, I thought I'd only be there for about half an hour. It was down a well-lit, well-traveled street. I wouldn't be out in the open on my own. And it wasn't that far. On the walk down, I was catcalled. And I didn't stop. I did not turn to say what the hell, to confront him, because I was afraid. How would his attitude change and get worse when he heard my voice or when he saw my face? At the bar, I felt so out of place, and I never had when I was presenting as a man. And I realized what they might think of a lone trans woman sitting at the bar. That she was a sex worker. And while I am not anti-sex worker, the prejudices weighed on me. And on the walk back, I realized how much darker and less well-traveled the street had gotten. And I have never felt so unsafe in my life. I know, every cis woman hearing this is saying, well, of course, Emily. And yeah. Nothing bad happened, but I've been thinking about it, about how that assurance of safety is part of the male privilege I've willingly given up. But it comes with the added danger of wondering, how much worse will the harassment get when they realize I'm trans? To most people, we trans people are nothing more than an idea to be debated over, a concept that exists only in the abstract, where people can have differing opinions on it, where we are not people just trying to sort out the shit that's in our head in a way that makes us happy. Instead, we're a porn genre. We're jokes in old comedy movies. This year was the worst year on record for transphobic violence. More trans people were killed around the world than since statistics began to be collected. It's also a year when transphobic stories have begun to appear more often in the British press, where a nearly endless slew of transphobic laws have been introduced in American state legislatures, and debates over trans inclusion have been placed in the public eye. because that's what we do with other people's rights. We debate them. We did it with same-sex marriage. We did it with desegregation, and now we're doing it with trans inclusion. We can't say it's getting better because, well, in some places it might be. Not everywhere. And all of this creates an atmosphere in which transphobic violence thrives. Words are not just words. Rhetoric that portrays our existence and inclusion as an existential threat to masculinity or to femininity, that only leads to one conclusion. You know, I speak from the perspective of a binary trans woman. To someone who thinks that trans women even existing or being acknowledged erases womanhood, we can't please them by agreeing with them, or by being quieter, or by jumping through all the medical hoops that they demand we go through to prove that we're trans and that we are women. The only way we make somebody who thinks like that happy is by not existing. By remaining in the closet, which kills far more of us than any list of names can tell. Or to a man who thinks he has the right to every woman's body, and that trans women are tricking him into being gay by pretending to have female bodies, but actually being men. There's nothing we can do to appease his wounded male pride except to die. So they find the most vulnerable of us, who are overwhelmingly trans women who are Black or Indigenous or other people of color. And they take that out of them. But it is an act of murder that wants to be an act of genocide. Not just one trans person, but all trans people. I'm protected. I am white. I am educated. I am neurotypical. Those that aren't too often are subject to abuse and violence. And when one of us is killed, all of us are killed. When one of us is attacked, all of us are attacked. When one of us is rejected by their family, all of us are rejected. Because that's all we are to most people. An idea. To be killed, to be hated, to be rejected. And there's more than murder or physical violence. The rejection, the spiritual, psychological, and emotional abuse can take its toll. If you are openly trans on the internet, your inbox is flooded with messages telling you to, quote, join the 41%. And that's a reference to a misunderstanding on the statistics on trans suicide, but it's encouraging to kill yourself nonetheless. And even people close to you will carelessly throw around slurs that they don't think are slurs, will ignore your name and pronouns, and insist that you just have to grow a thicker skin and deal with it when somebody else tells a transphobic joke, while they are never once called by the wrong name or the wrong pronouns. Imagine having to constantly defend your identity, defend who you are as a person at your core. Imagine everyone around you feels that they have the right to an opinion on whether or not you should be allowed to exist. Imagine never knowing how somebody is going to react when they realize you are who you are. Whether it might be with violence or abuse, rejection, or constant ignorant questions that they will not accept the answer to because they're too attached to their presumptions about what it means to be you. Imagine being afraid of being identified and outed and what that means for your safety. Imagine this as a Christian. Imagine this as a straight person. And then understand that while it's a thought experiment for you, it's the reality every trans person lives with. In so many ways, I have been extremely lucky. I live in one of the best places in the world to be transgender. Medical care is comparatively easy to access. My family and friends, church community, partner, everyone's been so wonderfully supportive. I'm lucky. I am so lucky. Others aren't, and I grieve for them. So, I'm promising to try and make the world a better place for my trans and non-binary sisters and brothers and siblings. I promise to use my privilege to help make a world where they don't have to be afraid of being who they are. So that a day like this can end because it isn't needed anymore. Amen.